Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lauren, and today my pups Ziggy and Zoey decided to join us as well. Today's class will be the second of 4 in a series on yoga for your menstrual cycle. Today we'll be focusing on the follicular phase, and during this particular phase, which overlaps with the menstrual phase and continues all the way until ovulation, your estrogen levels gradually increase. So this means that you may experience an increase in your energy, improved mood, higher motivation, and overall better physical performance. So this could be a really good time to do some high intensity workouts and maybe to start a new project. So as a result, you may crave those more high intensity and challenging shapes, movements, poses, such as a vigorous vinyasa flow. However, it's really important to remember that your hormone levels peak around ovulation, that hormone Relaxin. So that will cause your ligaments to get looser. So just be mindful not to overstretch or to strain your body. And as we do this particular class today, enjoy the benefits of your follicular phase in being more energized, having the bandwidth to be able to move through a more challenging vinyasa flow practice. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe and like button and the notification bell so that you can stay up to date on new classes and new content as I release. And if you haven't done the first of this series focusing on the menstrual cycle or the menstrual phase, then I highly recommend going back to that. And then you can follow along as you move through your menstrual cycle doing this class and the following other 2. So slip into something comfortable. You're gonna just need your yoga mat. If you wanna have 2 blocks as well, that may be nice to move with you through your practice. And I'll meet you here on the mat. Since today's practice is focused mainly on the more masculine yang sun energy parts of ourselves, we're going to actually begin standing, and a lot of our practice today is centered around movements that are energizing the body, such as twists, back bends or spinal extensions, and lots of core activation and stabilization work. So let's start at the front of the mat. Relax your arms by your side. And as a matter of fact, here you can roll your shoulders up, back, and down, preparing them for a lot of the movement that we're going to be doing today. Feeling the gliding effect of your shoulder blades on the back of the rib cage. And then go in the other direction, circling your shoulders back, up, and forward. And then pause in stillness as you're here. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Hold at the top. And big sigh out, let go. Good. Continue breathing on your own here, in and out of the nose. And perhaps you find a very soft Ujjayi pranayama breath, sealing the lips. The mechanics in the throat are like you're whispering or fogging up a mirror. Keeping with that pace of your breath, inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Look up, see your hands, nice big stretch. Exhale, hands together through your chest as you fold forward. Now, maybe you take your hands on your blocks, keeping in mind that perhaps this is your first forward fold of the day. Let your head hang and you can sway gently side to side. On your next inhale, lift halfway. Fingertips can come to the shins or the blocks. Guide the crown of the head and chest forward as you gently pull your shoulders back. Exhale, bend the knees. You can move those blocks to the side as you plant your palms and step back into your plank. Notice how your halfway lift or Ardha Uttanasana set you up for this shape. Pushing the ground away, shoulders nice and stable, core nice and engaged. You want to avoid lowering the hips or piking the hips. Maybe that means your knees are to the ground for added support. Take an inhale here. Exhale, come into downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back. Push the floor away. Hips up and back. Maybe that means you put a slight bend in the knees or a deep bend in the knees. Take a full inhale and exhale. Good. We're going to move through a sun salutation here, but we'll change up. Instead of moving through a traditional vinyasa, lots of opportunities for different variations on plank. So inhale, look forward, see your hands. Exhale, travel to the top of the mat. Maybe that means you step, walk, or hop. Exhale with that forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Fingertips to the shins, the blocks, or the ground, whatever's going to support you here. Exhale as you fold. Inhale, reach your arms overhead, look up and see your hands. Exhale, hands through heart center, thumbs to your sternum. Inhale, reach the arms back up to the sky. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. This is setting you up for your plank. Just bend the knees. As you exhale, plant your hands and step back into your plank pose. Good. Take a deep breath in as you're here. Again, you have the option to stay with knees lifted, core nice and long or nice and firm, spine nice and long, or with the knees to the ground. As you exhale, you're going to lower your forearms to the ground one at a time, forearm plank. Again, you can be with knees down or knees lifted. Notice if you start to round your back and pike the hips. I find it helpful to look ahead of you instead of underneath you. Take a full inhale. Exhale, lower your knees, thighs, and pelvis. Come into your Sphinx pose. So your elbows are underneath your shoulders. You're propped up on your forearms. Inhale, guide the chest forward, pull your shoulders back. Maybe you choose to stay here. Maybe you come up into seal, lifting those elbows, being mindful of the depth in your spinal and hip extension. Exhale, release all the way down, hands underneath your shoulders. Press back up through tabletop or plank. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Let's move through that one more time. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel to the top of the mat. Step, hop, or walk. Inhale, lift halfway, fingertips to your shins, blocks, or ground. Exhale as you fold. Inhale, rise to stand, Tadasana mountain pose. Look up, see your hands. Exhale, hands at heart center. Good. Inhale, arms back up. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need. Inhale, lift halfway, setting you up for plank here. Exhale, bend the knees, plant your palms, step back in your plank. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, lower your forearms down one at a time. Again, you always have the option for knees down here. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Again, be mindful of the stack of your body, head in line with your shoulders, ribs, and pelvis. One more breath in. Exhale, lower your knees, thighs, and pelvis. Come into your Sphinx pose. Take an inhale here, chest forward, elbows back. Stay as you exhale. Option to stay here or come up into your seal, lifting your elbows, lifting your chest. Notice that the shoulders scrunch up to the ears. Guide them downwards here. Exhale, release back down to your forearms. Good. Then from here, we're gonna come up into kind of like a baby dolphin. So take your hands together, or if it feels okay to keep rotating those forearms down, palms down, you can do that as well. I personally find at this point in the practice, it's probably a little friendlier though to take your hands together or interlace the hands. Now from here, you're gonna slowly push down into those forearms, roll up all the way onto the knees, and then walk your knees towards your elbows. Push down from there, feeling nice and stable in the shoulders. Now, if this feels good, you can choose to stay here. If you wanna make it a little bit more challenging on those shoulders, you're gonna tuck the toes under, lift your hips up, and maybe tippy-toeing your feet a little closer towards the elbows. Now you can see how this is a lot more on the shoulders than downward facing dog and requires a little bit more core engagement. It gets a little spicier here. We're gonna hold for 2 more breaths. And then lower your knees to the ground. Come into child's pose. Knees can be together or wide. Arms can be overhead or relaxed either side of you. Take a breath in, fill up into your lower back. And breath out. Again, inhale. And exhale. Good. Go ahead and roll up. We're gonna move through another variation of our sun salutation here. Lots of emphasis on different variations of planks, now adding some twists, some side planks, but a lot of work still nonetheless to energize the body. So come into downward facing dog once you're ready. Push your hands into the mat, lift your hips up and back. Take a full breath in and out. Good. Inhale, look forward and see your hands. Exhale, travel to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway, spine long. Exhale as you fold, Uttanasana. Good. Bend your knees. I personally like to keep my feet hips width distance. You're more than welcome to take the feet wider or narrower from there, but come into chair pose or Utkatasana. Imagine there's a chair behind you sitting back and down, but don't worry too much about the knees. Wherever they go, that's where they go. So for me, they tend to want to go a little bit more forward to kind of offset my weight. Set aside all those narratives that say this is right, this is wrong. Feel what's right in your body and honor that. Now from here, if you notice that your lower back is kind of taking on a lot of pressure, then bring one hand to the back of the rib cage, one hand to the front of the rib cage, and literally push the front of the ribs towards the back of the ribs until you feel a little bit more balance between the front and back of your core, the front of the quadriceps, and the back of the hamstrings and glutes. Take a full inhale here. Exhale, hands through heart center and rise to stand. Now, your right foot is going to stay as your foundation. Take a big step back with your left leg. Inhale, rise up. Either crescent lunge with all 10 toes guiding forward. Front knee is bent deeply, back knee is bent slightly. Or if that feels a little too wobbly, warrior one is another great option. You can pivot your left foot out slightly at about like a 45-degree angle or so the back heel is grounded. Take a deep inhale here. Stay for the exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, hands down to the mat, low lunge. Left hand is going to stay as your foundation. Pivot off the back heel, come into a low lunge twist, right arm up to the sky. Now this is setting you up for side plank. Your left shoulder, you want to make sure it's nice and stable. So push the ground away and imagine you're opening a jar towards the left so you can feel your shoulder blade on your back, okay? Now you have a couple options here. First variation, left knee down, left foot kick stands out to the side so you have a nice base, a nice support, and then you can kick your right leg back from there or take your right toes to the floor so you have 3 points of contact instead of 2. Maybe you want to add a little bit more challenge, so you can stagger your feet with your feet one in front of the other, or plant your right foot in front of your right hip so you have still those 3 points of contact. If you want to make it a little bit more spicy, you can stack the feet on top of one another. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, take the right forearm to the ground. Turn and face towards your left. Reach your left arm to the sky. Again, you have the option to lower your knees so you're resting on your shins. Take an inhale here. Exhale, forearm plank. Again, you can be on the knees or lift them. So lots of options to work with. Take a full breath in. Exhale, lower your knees, thighs, and pelvis. Familiar, right? So coming into your Sphinx pose, inhale, chest forward, elbows back. Again, option to stay here. Maybe you lift off those elbows. Exhale, release back down. Good. Again, I recommend hands together, or you can interlace your hands. Take an inhale here, push the ground away. As you exhale, look towards the belly button as you lift up onto your knees. Walk your knees towards the elbows, pushing down into those forearms. You can stay here, or you can tuck the toes under and walk your feet closer towards your elbows. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Lower your knees to the ground and come into child's pose. Full breath in. Full breath out. Once more, inhale. and exhale. Good. We just have the other side here. So when you're ready, come into downward facing dog. Push the floor away, really warmed up now through the shoulders, the core, and the spine. We're gonna take the left side. So inhale, look forward, see the hands. Exhale as you travel to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway, spine long. Exhale as you fold. Bend the knees again, feet may be hips width distance, wider or narrower from there. Sit your hips back and down as you come into chair pose, Utkatasana. Take a full breath in. Exhale, hands together at your chest and rise to stand. Left foot is gonna be your base now. Take a big step back with the right leg. Reach your arms overhead. Inhale, crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana. Deep bend in your front knee, slight bend in the back knee. Or you can pivot that back heel down, turning your right foot out slightly and coming into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Take an inhale wherever you are. Exhale, low lunge, hands down to the mat. As you come into that lunge, pivot off your back heel if you were in Warrior 1. Right hand as your main point of contact and foundation here as we're about to transition into side plank. Pull your right shoulder back and reach your left arm up to the sky. Then come into your variation of side plank. Again, option 1, right knee down, left leg back. That could also mean left foot to the floor. Option 2, feet are staggered, left in front of the right. Option 3 is left foot planted in line with your left hip. And option 4, feet stacked. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lower your left forearm to the ground, turning to face towards your right, forearm plank. Again, you can lower your knees. Take an inhale here, push the ground away. Exhale, come into your forearm plank. Breath in. Exhale, lower your knees, thighs, and pelvis. Set up in your Sphinx one final time. Inhale, chest forward, elbows back. Stay as you exhale. Perhaps you come into your seal, pressing into the palms, lifting your elbows. Inhale. Exhale, release back down to those forearms. One final time, coming into your dolphin here. So again, you can keep that interlace of the hands. Maybe your shoulders are pretty warmed up here. You can take those forearms rotating down. If you feel though that your elbows start to turn out, then you may want to readjust the hands and place the palms together. Now, you're going to look towards your belly button, come up onto the knees, walk the knees towards your elbows. Now, you'll know what I mean about the torque because both shoulders are trying to rotate out, but the forearms are rotating inward. So you may feel that pressure on the elbows. So this is that point where you can always adjust to coming back to those hands interlaced. Maybe you add the tuck of the toes under, walking your elbows or toes towards the elbows. You can choose to stay here, pushing the ground away. Notice if you're sinking in the shoulders. Maybe you play with lifting one leg. Maybe you play with kicking that leg. And you can switch. And then come all the way down, child's pose. Take another breath in and out. Slowly roll all the way up, and you can shrug those shoulders going up, back, and down a couple times. We're now going to close out with a couple stretches since we were very active through the shoulders, very active through the core. So I'm going to give you a couple options here. First option is to interlace the hands behind your back and lengthen through those elbows as you take your palms towards one another. Notice how my shoulders, I'm not letting them round forward, so you want to squeeze them back and press those knuckles behind you. Or you can clasp at your forearms, same idea, shoulders back, pressing backwards. Wherever you choose to be, take an inhale here, lift up through your chest. Maybe looking up towards the sky. As you exhale, fold forward. Maybe lowering your forehead to the mat. Maybe pressing your knuckles back. Keep squeezing your shoulder blades towards one another. And then slowly roll up. Pull your knuckles towards the right side of the waist, hugging your elbows together as you tip your right ear towards your right shoulder. You may notice a nice stretch here through the left side of the neck and the top of the shoulder. And keeping that right ear to right shoulder might be nice to turn your head like you're saying no. And then switching to the other side, pulling your knuckles to your right, hugging your elbows together as you tip left ear to left shoulder, and then turning your head down and up. Keeping, again, that ear to shoulder. It's like you're saying no, but just tilted sideways. And then slowly release. And you can shrug those shoulders out. All right. Come into a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like to you. And take a moment to close your eyes here for a moment as you reflect on the work of your practice today and how you're feeling now. Take a deep inhale. And big sigh out as you exhale. Again, inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Do that one more time. Inhale. And exhale. And as you feel ready to move on into the rest of the day and the rest of your week, gently blink your eyes open. I hope you enjoyed today's practice, a very energizing and invigorating practice. And if you haven't already, hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can stay up to date on new classes and new content as I'm releasing it. And there are 2 other classes that I will be releasing in this series, the other 2 phases of the menstrual cycle, so that when you're in your cycle, you can practice those different times that support you best. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.